More Republicans retiring from the House. The felon has a health scare next week. Let's look into that. Welcome to Scrying Out Loud. My name is Trevor. First off, a huge thank you to everybody who's subscribed to the channel. Thank you for liking and watching the videos and leaving a comment, especially a comment of more than 7 words, and hitting that thumbs up button. Really does help the video get to more people. And if you have the chance to hype the video, which I know is not a feature everybody has the chance to do, um, thank you, thank you, thank you. You're the reason this channel has grown. You've promoted it on your own social media platforms. And I couldn't be more thankful. I completely humbled by the fact that we're almost at 40,000 subscribers. The channel will turn a year old, and I think on December 4th, but I didn't really start doing a bunch of videos until around the 18th or 19th of December. So, um, amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay, so my tarot class is on sale in the Patreon. If you want more information about that or information about private readings, also if you were to purchase the tarot class, you can get $50 off an hour-long reading. If you join the Soul Community, which is the YouTube membership to this channel, you can get $25 off of a reading as well. You can always email me, scryingoutloud3@gmail.com. Happy to answer your questions, happy to take reading suggestions. We've built a great community here. I'm very proud of it. I don't always get a chance to get to respond to all your comments, but I do read them all. Um, so thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so another Republican announced that he's retiring from the House, not seeking re-election, I should say. Is there going to be more? I think there is. So let's look at that. When I was scrying, and I've actually taken some time for myself this Thanksgiving break, well, to be with family, but just to relax and rejuvenate and get some energy back, which I highly recommend for everybody. So today's scrying event was really profound. And I think we're looking at a major health event coming up soon. It feels like it's in the next couple of weeks. I don't necessarily think this is what takes him out, but I think it's something that scares people. So I want to look at that. I want to revisit. We have an election on Tuesday, December 2nd. Excuse me for clearing my throat. Um, in Tennessee. Now, this is a weird district in Tennessee. Part of it's in Nashville, which is very liberal. The other big city is Clarksville. Now, Clarksville's the home of Austin Peay University, if you're familiar with the area. The city of Clarksville has its liberal parts, but the rest surrounding area is not liberal at all. Montgomery County, I believe, is the one that Clarksville's in. They reported they had 17,000 early votes. Davidson County, which is Nashville, reported a huge number of early votes as well. And of course, it's not the whole city of Nashville. If it was the whole city of Nashville, it'd be a Democratic district. This is how Republicans have got Democrats out of the state of Tennessee. And then there's the rest of it, which is fairly rural and very conservative. The energies here have just been confusing. And I'm not usually one to say, I don't really know what's going on here, but I kind of don't know what's going on here. Could she win, the Democrat? I think so. Will she win? If I had to bet, I would bet no, but I hope she wins. So let's look at that again. There's just, this new early vote information coming out kind of um, is telling. And then I want to go ahead and look, since I'm coming on a Sunday and I don't normally come on Sundays, I want to look at the Democrats. Do they win in 26 in the House, and do they win in the Senate in 26? So let's start with the election stuff, and then we'll move to this felons. It feels like he like stops talking, like he does like a Mitch McConnell pausing type of scary event for the people that support him. Uh, and it's becoming unnoticed. It's becoming impossible not to talk about his health. And, you're more than welcome to disagree with me as long as it's respectful. Uh, if it's not respectful, you know, I don't know why you would leave a comment that's just disrespectful, not only to me, but to the entire community of this channel. So if you do that, you're just going to get blocked. You can be mean to me, but don't be mean to the people that support this channel. That's not acceptable. Okay. All right. And if you saw that comment that I'm talking about, I'm sorry that you saw it. Okay. So more Republicans retiring, then we'll move to the election. Uh, I don't think they're going to, retiring's not the right word, not running for reelection. I don't think they're going to be people that just quit like Marjorie Taylor Greene. I don't see that. I know some people have um, more Republicans retiring. Yes. I think I originally thought there'd be something like 40. I'm not sure what we're up to now, maybe 12 to 15 already. I expect there to be like 20 or 30 is what it feels like. Yeah, because they don't want to deal with it anymore. They want stability in their lives. They're tired of the chaos. They're worried about threats because of the way the felon acts. They know they're not doing good. I'm not saying they all have a moral compass because I don't think the case for a lot of them, but I think they know they're not doing good. The King of Wands, they know they're gonna lose. It really kind of boils down to that. They know they're going to lose. Don Bacon announcing he was retiring from Nebraska's second congressional district says it all. That district, there's no way the Democrats aren't going to win it. And that'll be a pickup. It's currently controlled by a Republican. This is the district Vice President Harris won. Don Bacon's managed to survive most years, not all years. He's lost and then come back and won the next cycle. Uh, these are the things that we should be looking out for. The damage has already been done to the Republican brand. The Five of Swords. There is no coming back from this. It's going to take at least two election cycles to forget about what they've done. They're not raising money. That's a big key right there. They're seeing the writing on the wall. Now most house races aren't super expensive. I mean, they're expensive by the money that we live on budgets, but they're not super expensive to run, especially the more rural districts. You can easily run a house race on a couple $1 million, but they're not even raising that. They're not raising hardly any money. And there's a lot of fighting. The money that the national Republicans are raising, they're not going to spend on these districts. I think the Republicans are really hoping to walk out of the 2026 election with more than 190 seats. I think they would consider that a victory. That would be them losing, 30 seats. I think they would consider that a victory. So there's fighting for resources. people having to go it alone. That's why they're going to just not run for reelection. The Republican Party has given up on these seats already, so they're just gonna go ahead and exit before they lose an election. The deceit, the deception, and the corruption is what's catching up with them. And some of them, I think, genuinely don't want to be a part of it. So it's hard to use the word genuine and Republican in the same sentence because it is kind of an oxymoron, but I do think that's how some of them feel. Uh, you know, the Republican Party's abandoned its traditions, whether we agreed with them or not. Different story. You know, they're ballooning the deficit. They run on fiscal responsibility. They run on opportunity, yet they're taking away healthcare. These are the things that are causing them to lose widespread. And, there's not a lot of money to go along, so they're holding on to it really tightly, the national Republicans, that is. So, you know, they realize that things aren't stable. There's going to be a lot of fighting for resources. These are going to be the ones that retire, which are actually better for Democrats because they're retiring from really vulnerable districts. We have Schweitzer in Arizona is going to run for governor, for example, because he can't win his House district again. The corruption, the fighting, this is why Republicans are wounded in battle. This is why they are going to leave. The public knows about it. The fundraising has dried up quite a bit. And they didn't stay true to what they said they were going to do. Um, no, we're not talking about the felon, we're talking about them. And, they're finding themselves having to run their election campaign on their own, and they know they can't win that way. So, what's the point? Yeah, it's a crossroads, the Two of Swords, followed by the Three of Swords. They feel quite betrayed, and there are things working against them, the Magician, in particular, the tariffs, the Two of Pentacles. So, do expect a lot of resignations. Not resignations. I keep saying that. I don't mean that. I mean they're just not going to run for reelection. That's all I mean. Okay. Let's look at the elections and then we'll look at the felons healthcare and I'll describe some more of the images that I got. Okay. So Bain's the Democrat, Van Epps is the Republican in the Tennessee special election. I'm going to run them side by side. We'll do 5 cards each. I'll do Bain on the left, the Democrat, Van Epps, the Republican on my right. So left, right. Let's see if we can't get a better glimpse here. Who's going to win? Who's going to be close? I would be really surprised if somebody won by more than 5 points either way. So Van Epps gets the Wheel of Fortune. I'm sorry, Bain, the Democrat, gets the Wheel of Fortune. She's got a fighting chance. Van Epps is just hoping that just being a Republican in this district gets him over the line. He has nothing special to offer. She's a little bit behind. I think it's all about voter turnout, which I've talked about before. He gets the Ace of Pentacles. She gets the Tower card. That's not a bad thing. You need to shake things up in order to win a Republican plus 22 district. He gets the Ace of Swords, the Truth. She gets the Eight of Wands. And he gets the Queen of Swords. Yeah. Yeah. She gets the Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment. And he gets the Felon. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. The cards are so ambiguous. he's got two really negative cards, which maybe some might say are positive. The Star and the King of Pentacles are negative because he's just hoping he wins. The Tower's positive for her. The Nine of Cups are very positive for her. But the Knight of Swords is quite negative. Let me just throw some clarifiers here. It makes me just wonder how close this thing really is. I mean, not very indecisive. Generally, I think we've gotten every single election right on this channel, down to the Georgia winning the statewide utility board races in the 25 election. Okay, is she gonna win? No, I don't think so. I hope I'm wrong. I don't think she's gonna win. I think it's going to be really close. I think that's going to scare Republicans. I think this idea of drawing more maps in Indiana and in Kansas, I think those are dead because they're not going to be drawing them in a way that's going to give Republicans an extra seat. They're probably going to be drawing them in a way that gives Democrats a chance to win two seats. So it's do you draw two toss-up districts in exchange for one safe, one safe? I don't know. We'll have to see what they decide. Okay, so will the Democrats win the House in 26? I feel pretty good about this one. Will the Democrats win the House in 26? Democrats win the House in 26. They definitely are going to have the money advantage, the Three of Pentacles. Their challenge is going to be to motivate young people and to win over some of the people over 70, 75 that voted for the felon. And I think they can. That's their challenge. That's a great challenge to have because you have targets to win. Younger people, it's just a matter of getting them to the polls. This is where AOC, Mundami, um, even if they're not campaigning in those districts, just them speaking on a national platform and that being spread around social media, I think can work. Uh, you know, and their subconscious is they don't have enough money, but I think that's a good thing to have in the subconscious because they don't have enough money because they have so many races they want to compete in. I think they want to compete in about 250 races probably. In a normal year, you know, given the gerrymandering, maybe they would only compete in 230, 235. So I think that's a good card. In the past, we have victory. It's almost like victory's assured, to be honest with you. It's what it feels like. Um, Sleepless nights because there's so much at stake, right? The Nine of Swords. The near-term outcome, though, is the Lover's card. They're going to have to make choices on how they spend their money, but they can do this quite successfully. The way they see themselves is as empathetic and spreading a message of hope. The way others see them as similarly spreading messages. The hopes and fears is the Sun card that this dark cycle will be ended, that we'll get to the truth of a lot of things. And the outcome is the Page of Wands. That's a pretty positive card, along with the Wheel of Fortune and the World card. Yeah, they're going to win. I don't think it's going to be close. I think, even with all the, if the Supreme Court allows the Texas map to go forward, that's not the end of the world, because if they allow that map to go forward, then the California map goes forward, the Virginia map will go forward, et cetera, et cetera. So I think it's just and if they strike down that map, who knows, maybe they strike down the California map too, right? So I wouldn't put too much credence on the Supreme Court's decisions here. I don't think it matters. I think the Democrats win. I think the Democrats win districts that we're just not even thinking about. You know, like the district in the Iron Range in Minnesota, for example, that used to be a Democratic district and it switched to be a Republican district. I think they win that one back. I think Democrats win back, possibly even two congressional districts in Nebraska. That second congressional district, the guy's very unpopular. Uh, Iowa, I think the Democrats pick up two or three. Arizona, they pick up two or three. Pennsylvania, they pick up two or three. New York, they pick up three or four. It's just the all the Democrats need to do is win the national vote by 4 or 5, and they're going to be fine. That's really all it takes. So, okay, what about the Senate? Can Democrats win the Senate? This one's trickier. So they need to win 4 seats. North Carolina, I think the Democrats win. Maine, I worry. I think if they nominate that Plantier guy, I think they lose. If they nominate the governor, Janet Mills, I think they win. I could be wrong on both fronts. They might win either way. It'll be close either way. So I think that's the best second seat. The best third seat depends. If Mary Patola in Alaska runs for Senate, that's probably the third easiest state to win because she's quite popular and she's won statewide before. Uh, the fourth easiest is probably Texas, and then Ohio, and then maybe Iowa. And that's it. There are no other chances. I don't see the Democrat winning in Kentucky or Tennessee or Alabama or Louisiana or Oklahoma, possibly Nebraska, the independent Dan Sullivan, South Dakota, North Dakota, Wyoming. I just don't think so. The map just doesn't favor Democrats. Not saying it can't be done. I just want to explain how really difficult it is for Democrats to win the Senate. I mean, they could win the popular vote by 6 or 7 points and still not win, right? I mean, Biden won the popular vote by about 7 points, six, I think, 7 points, something like that. Feels like that's right. And he didn't win Texas. He didn't win Iowa. He didn't win Ohio. Um, so, and he didn't win North Carolina either. It's just a much harder thing to win the Senate. Will Democrats win the Senate? Well, we start off with the Two of Cups, finding new voters, new partnerships. This is a good thing. Their challenge is justice, which is balance. And here, I think this is talking to the imbalance in the maps that I'm saying. There just aren't enough. I mean, Democrats also have to win Michigan and Georgia, right? They have to defend the seats that could be close. I don't think they will be, but Michigan could go wrong. Georgia, I don't think will. Um, I don't think Michigan will either, by the way. I just think it's more likely than Georgia. The imbalance in the map is the big problem here. Democrats think they have a shot. That's half the battle, is to get them to spend money in 6 states, 8 states if you count Michigan and Georgia, and no more. No more. Just focus their efforts on where they think they can win. And if in Texas, if the Democrats nominate the young James Tellerico, probably saying his name wrong. Uh, there's a shot there if the Republicans nominate Ken Paxton. That's not an unrealistic shot. Alaska's not unrealistic if Mary Patola runs. Uh, you know, you mix that with Maine and North Carolina. North Carolina is probably a given. Uh, it's possible, but it's really like threading the needle, right? Like they're gonna have to win all the states that they compete in. In the past, they made choices. Uh, One of the choices they made was to get Janet Mills to jump into the race in Maine, and I know this ruffled some feathers, but I don't really have an opinion one way or another. I don't know enough about either of them to say who I would vote for in the primary, but I've just always felt like Mills is a safer choice. Like I think she'll win. Um, the Ten of Pentacles, the legacy of this administration is in the conscious. People are going to be thinking about it. It really is kind of a 50-50 proposition in the near term future, the Wheel of Fortune. So I think it's okay. The Democrats know it's an uphill battle. They're not delusional. That's good. The way others see it is, what are they going to do for us? This is where things become interesting. If Democrats run on subsidizing certain things, housing, um, commodity prices, and Republicans run against it because they will, this could be a possible victory here. The hopes and fears, again, what's going to happen with the people over 75 and what's going to happen to the people under 25? What do they do? Um, flipping back some of the people over 75 that voted for the felon, I think will be important. And then getting the youth vote to turn out. They have plans, they have backup plans. We do get the Five of Cups loss. And then, well, if those aren't two contradictory cards, I don't know what is. The Six of Cups is victory. I really think this is 50-50. I think we'll have to keep checking. And I think people are walking away from MAGA because of the tariffs, the Two of Pentacles, because of the abuse of power, the Emperor, and they're walking towards stability, the Queen of Pentacles, which is the Democrats, the King of Cups. So I think Democrats have a good shot. We're going to have to keep checking back in on them, and we'll get into individual races as well as we move into the new year, and we'll start talking about primaries and all these fun things. Because, election year lasts an entire year in the United States. Okay, so a couple visuals from the scrying today. The felon's very ill. Personally, I think this is the biggest story. That's why I'm talking about it. Um, the felon is very ill. I feel like there's an incident next week that scares more people. I think these late night tweets, which are probably written by somebody else, maybe Stephen Miller, I don't know. I don't think Stephen Miller's as influential as people give him credit for, but he definitely got the Republican Party to turn into the party of hating minorities. Um, but they always kind of did. So to me, that's not that big of a difference. Um, so it feels like there's an incident where he's talking and he like loses his train of thought and can't get back on track. and they move him away. And then I still am getting the same sort of images of him having a stroke and being gone soon. These have not changed at all. Timing is tricky. The sooner, the better, I think, for the country. We need to know the felon's health. We get the Six of Wands, which is about victory. Whose victory? Not his. The Knight of Pentacles, messages coming forward about his health. Again, I think we're going to see these events unfolding that really question his competency. The Knight of Cups, more messages. It's like the media is not going to be able to ignore it much longer. They're just not. The Page of Wands, more messages. Uh, at the center is the Emperor, the abuse of power, the corruption. It's all, it's exhausting for everybody, but for his health and his, cardiovascular system in particular, I think it's just too much. Yeah, there's something wrong, really, really wrong with his heart. Like, we're not talking about, the need of a stent. We're talking about something really wrong with his heart. Something's really wrong with his heart. The temperance, moderation, it's also the card after death. Protection, the star card, and his health is very poor. So it's kind of like he went from this energy of being okay years ago. And then he became this corrupt, evil person, and now his health has just deteriorated terribly. You know, he was never a good person, but, you know, a little bit more moderate. And now, things have just corrupted. We're going to start hearing messages about all the horrible things he's done. There's something really wrong with his heart. I think that's what keeps us protected. Um, and I think, we're going to hear messages about his health and we'll see him lashing out because he knows he's near the end. Underneath, we get the inheritance card, the Ten of Pentacles, which is about legacies, which makes sense. We get the Hanged Man. We're just waiting. We all know he's ill. It's just a matter of time. The Four of Swords, the Greeds, the Nine of Cups, and the Devil, that toxicity is catching up with them. There's only so much they could do to keep him safe, the Nine of Wands. So I just don't think it's that long. Maybe I'm completely delusional. It could be the case, but I don't know. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll be back with another video soon.